Hi guys, Aaron Dorr here, policy advisor with Wyoming gun owners. Guys, in the wake of the very busy 2018 primary process, now that we're past all that and looking down the barrel of the general election and what lies beyond that, we're getting a lot of questions from you guys on some of our previous updates on this issue of red flag gun seizure laws. This is being talked about right now in a whole bunch of red states, not just in the far left coast, the far east coast. This is being discussed right now and passing, guys, passing this year in red states like Florida, where this kind of all began this year after the Parkland, Florida shooting, in states like Indiana and others besides that. So this video is an update for you guys on what exactly we're talking about. We're saying we have to oppose red flag gun seizure laws, what it means for you guys here in Wyoming, and how we can stop this before it ever gets a breath of oxygen in the state. So first, kind of on the onset, don't forget, we have a petition for you guys above and below this video. I want you guys to take a couple seconds and sign this to add your name to the list of gun owners who were radically opposed to this radical takeover of our gun rights. So with no further ado, what are we talking about? Red flag gun seizure laws, and they're called different things: high risk gun seizures, emergency protection gun seizures, red flags. Red flags is the most commonly used vernacular. A red flag gun seizure would allow a petitioner to go before the judge, usually in person, but in some drafts that we've seen across the country, they could phone in a complaint to a judge, and they could say that you are a risk to yourself or somebody else and should have your gun rights immediately suspended, and more importantly, your guns confiscated. And the way the code is written, it varies widely, but oftentimes the petitioner can include a school teacher, a school nurse. It could include a spouse. It could include perhaps an employer, perhaps an ex-employer, perhaps, and always it can include an ex-spouse or an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend. And we all know how bitter divorce situations can be, unfortunately. We know how bitter a custody fight can be. And most of us either have known firsthand or through a friend how much room for abuse there is in this process. And just imagine that type of embittered individual using this process as a means to gain leverage over somebody in an ongoing custody or divorce case. It's absolutely chilling. So the petitioner can be almost anybody, number one. Number two, every single state that is moving to enact this, every bill draft we've seen in over a dozen states allows for an ex parte process, an ex parte hearing, which means you're not in the room. You're not even allowed to attend the hearing where your gun rights are being stripped away. You're not even there. In fact, you don't even know it's taking place. The first time you'd be made aware that your gun rights have been stripped is when a government agent comes to your door, or government agents come to your door, gives you a piece of paper and says, we're here to grab your firearms. Think it won't happen? It's happening right now in Florida, in red Florida, where Republican lawmakers, 67 A-rated Republican lawmakers, pushed this through the House. And of course, their quote-unquote pro-gun governor, Scott, signed into law, and already over 500 gun owners have had their gun rights stripped away. And in most cases, they've never even been charged with a crime. Never even been charged. And that's perhaps the big point number three. The petitioner can be almost anybody. The process is ex parte, so you're not even there to defend yourself. And this happens in the complete void of any criminal charges. You have never been arrested when the situation takes place. You haven't been indicted, and you haven't been convicted. So the three big phases of the criminal process before someone can be convicted: the arrest, the indictment, and the conviction. None of that is anywhere in this conversation. You could literally be stripped of your gun rights having never been accused of anything. That's how dangerous this is. And perhaps most egregious of all, perhaps, is the type of evidence that can be used against a gun owner as a way to prove that you shouldn't own firearms. We have examined, since I work for gun rights fights and groups across the country, we have here at WYGO examined the bill drafts being proposed right now in places like New York, Iowa, Missouri, Wisconsin, Georgia, Ohio, and on it goes. And guys, in every case, I have a sample here from you, as a matter of fact, a sample out of Missouri. This is verbatim language that we're seeing in states all over the country. The evidence that can be used against you includes the recent acquisition of firearms, rifles, shotguns, or other deadly weapons. That verbatim language exists in states all over the country because this is being called and quarterbacked by Michael Bloomberg and by Bloomberg's forces across the country. This is perhaps their most palatable bill that they can pass right now, especially in red states, because they know that a whole bunch of lawmakers right now on both sides of the aisle are trying to find something they can do that's reasonable in their minds, or a common sense solution in the wake of these mass shootings. Of course, we all know as gun owners that what they should be doing is to do what Missouri did last year, what Wyoming did this year, passing stand your ground law, passing constitutional carry, lifting gun-free zone restrictions, and putting more guns in the hands of law-abiding citizens. That's what should happen. Instead, you're seeing lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have this little come-together moment, this little bromance in the Capitol, and they're agreeing that we should pass this quote-unquote common sense gun reform. Before this gets any momentum here in Wyoming, guys, take a moment and sign your petition opposing this bill right now. As we've told you guys off and on for the last couple of months, we're hearing from the governor's staff and others in the state, in state politics right now, this is being talked about, and it is on some people's agendas, possibly as early as the 2019 session. Now, thankfully, Governor Meade is on his way out of here. Thankfully, he is gone. No more ability for him to veto gun bills, to talk smack about stand your ground law or anything else. But this issue may linger. This issue may linger, and that's why is lingering. That's why we have to have a grassroots, firestorm of opposition to this bill, so that the incoming governor and the new legislature in 2019 know that if they touch this bill with a 10-foot pole, they're going to get burned. That is the message we want to send. So number one, sign your petition, guys, opposing this horrible due process shredding gun control bill. That's number one. Number two, share this video, guys. Maybe you're watching it right now on YouTube. Maybe you're seeing it on Facebook. Maybe you're seeing it in an email blast. Wherever you're watching this from, guys, help us get the word out there. Share it on your personal Facebook page. Share it in pages you administer. Share it in gun forums and blogs that you're a part of, and help us get the word out. This is spreading right now in red states, again, being seen as some kind of a common sense compromise following the Parkland, Florida shooting. And thirdly and finally, if you're not yet a member of WIGO, guys, we need your help. We just went through a very expensive primary season, of course, here in the state, and it was very successful. Lots of pro-gun candidates that you guys put into office. And of course, longtime gun grabber-in-chief, Senator Fred Emmerich, kicked out of Cheyenne once and for all by WIGO members. Loud accomplishments made by the members of WIGO, but it came at a cost. It was very expensive, but we had to do it. We had to do it. So help us regain our footing in that regard as well. Join up with WIGO today. And again, guys, wherever you do, sign the petition, share it around the state, and more to come, guys, in the days ahead. Take care.